Hello everyone, hello. Welcome, welcome. Today we are playing Enthusia. It's so if you're not familiar with this game, it is a sort of a simcade racer created by Konami to kind of compete with the Gran Turismo franchise. And it does copy a lot of stuff from Gran Turismo with things like the more obscure vehicles. Among other things. So for example, here we have the Toyota Estima Hybrid. That's very not exactly a sporty car, shall we say. But we'll be racing in it in an attempt to so what I want to do is I do want to attempt to 100% complete this, which is basically I want to eventually win all of the RS events, but I also want to get every single vehicle leveled up to level 10, which is the maximum level you can have for the vehicles in this game. So, with that being said, we're gonna jump right in, do a quick bit of settings, because I don't think I had this set up. I did have this set up. Okay, good. Yeah, I do have it set up for just a little bit more oversteer, because it is a little bit sluggish around the corners. So I do want to oh gosh, there's like no events we have a chance at. Okay, this is fine. We're going down to rank 3. And we'll be competing against things like the Honda Odyssey, Mercedes 300 SL, and the Corvette Stingray. Okay, we have a chance at this one. The 300 SL and the Corvette aren't exactly nimble around the corners either, so that's good. And this vehicle, because it is a hybrid, it does not have sprockets. Hey, good evening. How you doing today? But today we are playing Enthusia, and this is a very fun game. So one of the cool things about this game is it does kind of encourage really good racecraft. Because you do get penalized quite a bit by going off course or by hitting walls or opponents, because you have what's known in game as Enthusia points, and that's basically your hit points. And when it reaches 0, you can't race anymore for that week, so you have to take an entire week off to recover hit points. If you take a week off, you could lose what's known as ranking in this game. And basically, ranking is determined by ranking points. The harder the events you participate in, and the better you do in those events, the more ranking points you get. So for example, basically the formula behind it is it's the race odds for your vehicle. So that is determined regardless of what ranking race you are trying to do. Whether it's rank S or rank 3 or rank novice, the odds will always be the same if the lineup of vehicles is the same. It's based entirely on the comparative performance of all the vehicles in that race. Alright, so you have that number, and it's usually anywhere between 1 and 10. It can go up to about 30, but basically you're only really competitive up to around like 8 to 10, depending on the track, and depending on how quick of a driver you are and how good your setup is. Anything above 10, it's at least for me, there are probably better drivers out there that can win, races where the odds are in the 30s or in the 10s, 20s, and up to 30 probably. But I am not one of those drivers. Alright, so you have the odds that's determined by vehicle performance. Then you have what ranking race it is. Alright, and that's everything from rank S to rank novice. And the higher the ranking is, the higher the multiplication for the amount of points you get is. So I think for rank novice, it's like 10 is the multiplication factor for that. Whereas in rank S, I believe it is 100. Rank 1 is like 50. Rank 3, I think, is like 25 or something like that. Something along that lines. And then finally, the final factor that determines your ranking points for the race is the position you finish in. First through fourth have a set modifier. So first is a modifier of 1. Second is a modifier of 0.6. Third, a modifier of 0.4. And fourth, a modifier of 0.2. And basically, how the game calculates ranking points is it takes the odds for your vehicle for that race, multiplies it by the race ranking modifier. All right, which again is a set number depending on what level of racing you're at. And then finally, it multiplies it by the finishing position modifier. Now you might think it could be easy to just get a really slow car and just finish last in the hardest events, but only first through fourth pay points. The ranking modifier for 5th and 6th is at 0, so you do not get any points if you finish 5th or 6th. 4th is the bare minimum you need to get points. So with that, then how your ranking then is determined. It's from 1 to 999, and the higher it is the lower the number is. Like in a race, basically, where the further ahead you are, the lower the number. And that's determined basically by your ranking points, which is basically your best 9 of the past 12 weeks. It is very complicated as well. But basically, it's kind of reminiscent of the old Formula One point system, where the slowest couple of races, the slowest 3 races are dropped. And that allows you to do things like switch out a car, which takes a week, or rest, which takes a week, or you can go after, a much slower race, or a race where you have a much better odds of winning as well. Or you can go, take a more risky approach and maybe finish last or have a bad race. And with that, it does give you a bit of leeway also, which is good. But it is the best 9 of the past 12 weeks that determines your total ranking points, and that determines your final ranking. All right, so we finished our first race of the stream. And this is sort of the roulette or the raffle for the rival cars. And basically, if you finish within a points-paying position, so 1st through 4th, you have a chance to win one of the rival cars you are racing against, provided you do not already own it. So, RNG was on our side this time. We won the 1963 Corvette Stingray. So that is now added to our garage for us to potentially switch to at a later date. And it is a beautiful car as well. It's the split window Corvette, which was only in production. The split window 2nd generation Corvette was only in production for 1 year, which at the time was because the customers were having a lot of issues with rearward visibility. So they there was a lot of complaints with that. So they quick switched it out for like the very next model year, because the customers didn't like it. But now, because it was only created for 1 year, that model year of Corvette is very valuable to collectors as well, because it is just very rare. All right, so we got a first race done. We have leveled up our Toyota Estima hybrid minivan a little bit, which is good. And now we can so the first one is weight reduction. So basically levels 1, 4, and 7 is weight reduction. So your vehicle gets gradually lighter. Levels 3, Wait. Hang on. Levels 2, 5, and 8, sorry, is weight reduction. Levels 3, 6, and 9 is an improvement on the tires, which does allow you to maintain much higher speed cornering. And levels 4, 7, and 10 are your power upgrades, which improve acceleration and a little bit of top speed, but mostly acceleration. And the cool thing about it is, since the odds system in this game is determined by base level vehicle performance, when you do level up your vehicle, you have an easier time with the races, and you won't have reduced odds. You won't have, you know, easier odds though, in terms of how points are calculated. So it does also incentivize sticking with a car, basically, even if it's not one you particularly like. It does encourage sticking with a car. Which is really, really cool as well. It is. There are some things this game actually does, I think, does a lot better than Gran Turismo. More so just with keeping players engaged. I think this one does a lot more. It has a bit more depth to it. The downside, the things Gran Turismo does a bit better though, aside from graphics. Graphics are a little not the best in this game in comparison to the competition, just because, let's be honest, the Gran Turismo games on the PS2 were leagues above pretty much everyone else. But the other thing that this game kind of lacks a bit is track variety. There's very, very few amount of tracks, which on one hand does encourage learning the different tracks and getting much, much better at them. But also, you will be seeing a lot of the same tracks throughout, depending on how long you play for. You will be seeing a lot of the same tracks as well. With this one, it's kind of a neutral, it depends on how you feel. If you want your racing games to be more set in stone with progression versus a make up your own goals type of progression feel. In Enthusia, it's basically you kind of make up your own goals, and the game will adjust the races based on your vehicles, that you're racing against similar opponents and stuff. So you're not going to be racing against a whole bunch of supercars all the time if you choose to drive a minivan. But instead, it does allow, for some competitiveness, and it does allow for pretty much any vehicle to be competitive. Whereas in the Gran Turismo games, depending on the events, because the events are the same every playthrough of a Gran Turismo game, the amount of viable vehicles is much lower in comparison to the total vehicles in that game. Like there's some vehicles in the Gran Turismo games, especially like 4 through 6 especially, where they're just some vehicles that are not competitive, or they need a massive amount of money spent on them to be competitive with vehicles that are much, much cheaper than them. Oh gosh, brakes, please. The brakes do not want to work on dirt. The minivan, it is so heavy, and I can't use engine braking either because it's a single gear hybrid vehicle. So I'm basically just trying to use karting techniques, set the brake bias further to the rear, and soften up the front R bars just to get it to turn in. Because the van is very, very heavy. Oh, it is so heavy. It's a big boy. Surprisingly decent off-road up until you get to a corner, and it just wants to understeer. It wants to plow forwards. But it's got good acceleration on the off-road sections because it is four-wheel drive. It's got the hybrid system powering the rear wheels, and it's got the inline four-cylinder engine powering the front wheels. Is how the Estima hybrid or at least the concept Estima hybrid that this is based off of, is how it worked out. And oh gotta love the drone of a vehicle equipped with CVT as well. Yeah. Oh, turn in. Use a little bit of e-brake, get it spun around a tight hairpin. Alright, we are on to the final lap though. We are beating this Mitsubishi Colt. Now, that is one thing I do love about this game, is the fact that it does feature a lot of more mundane and obscure vehicles that you normally wouldn't necessarily see in a racing game. So it is fun to drive them. For example, with this game, it does have quite a few different minivans actually, including, you know, aside from the Estima Hybrid, it's got things like the Honda Odyssey and the Chevrolet Astro as well. The Chevrolet Astro is, I think it's the only racing game where the Chevrolet Astro is officially licensed and drivable. Enthusia is. So with that, you know, it is really, really cool, because I do have a bit of a fondness for the Chevrolet Astro, just because when I was real young, my parents, we didn't unlock any cars that time. That's fine. When I was real young, my parents actually had the GMC version of the Astro, the GMC Safari. And we had that for a really long time. It took us through so many blizzards, vacations, everything. And that vehicle, that van was so nice. It was really enjoyable to just ride along in and everything. Unfortunately, we did have to get rid of it because the transmission started going up, and the frame started getting real rusty, because we have occasional harsh winters here. Especially during the time that we owned that vehicle, so it's the poor thing. It just wasn't lasting that well. I mean, it lasted a long time. It just eventually it kind of ended up on its last legs, and we couldn't really do much to save it. That, you know, in terms of cost and all that stuff, because it would have cost more to save the vehicle than to try to purchase a new van. I'm sad to see it go though. If I ever get like the space, you know, to restore a vehicle, honestly, I kind of would want to get one of those like Chevrolet Astros or GMC Safaris and do a complete like frame off restoration on one of those, just for the nostalgia factor, because, you know, I genuinely think they're really cool. There's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of childhood memories. You know, going to different places in the van. Alright, we're back at Tsukuba. Very short laps here, and it's a whole bunch of hairpin turns into acceleration zones, into heavy braking zones. I do quite like racing at Tsukuba as well, because it is a very good benchmark for testing vehicular performance. You can kind of gather that much quicker than a lap at the Nordschleife. It's sort of Japan's test track, whereas the Nordschleife is Germany's test track. But it's, you know, really cool, because they always hold a bunch of different like time attack events and super lap battles and all that stuff at Tsukuba. And so it is sort of a benchmark for vehicular performance at this track, and it's a cool track. I used to not like it nearly as much as a kid, because it is flat as a pancake. But that kind of allows you to just more so focus purely on racing lines, driving, and all that stuff, instead of, you know, worrying about the vehicle being upset by a bump or something like that. Oh, it's still very understeery, this the minivan. Currently in third. we're definitely struggling just a little bit, trying to get this up to level 10. Oh, get it turned in. Slowly ease onto the throttle. You do not want to be greedy in a vehicle that's prone to understeering. Alright, back onto the brakes. Get it nice and turned in. Let's get it nice and turn in, please. Oh, it's so sluggish around the corners. It's not bad on the straights. It's got half decent acceleration due to the hybrid system on it. But oh, it is truly dreadful around the corners. I've even adjusted the vehicle for more oversteer as well. Soften the front, stiffen the rear, put a little bit of rake on it as well, where the front is a bit lower than the rear. Adjusted the camber, adjusted the toe, all that stuff, just to get it to kind of turn in. Done everything I can setup wise to kind of get it more manageable, but oh, it is an absolute tank trying to get it around the corners. I should be half used to it though, because the previous vehicle we were racing was the Mercedes S-Class, and that was also a very, very, very heavy vehicle as well. Very sluggish on the corners. Although with the S-Class, you could kind of utilize the very, very high-powered 400-some horsepower V8 engine of the S-Class. Whereas this one, it doesn't quite have the power to make up for its poor handling. Ah, jeez, come on. All I can hope for is that the tire upgrades do help out a little bit and allow it to be just a little bit more competitive. Because otherwise, we are struggling just a wee bit. All right, try to trail brake into the wide final corner of the track. Going on to the final lap, gotta be late onto the throttle as well, because if you get greedy with the wide sweeper at the very last corner, if you get greedy, you will run very wide, and there is nothing but dirt and grass and a whole bunch of other unpleasant trees on the exit of the corner. So you don't want to run too wide. There is a bit of runoff if you do that though, that you can probably use to your advantage depending on how strict stewards are with track limits at the event. But even then, you don't want to test your luck too much. The van. Come on. Get me around the corner. A little bit of an off-course excursion there. And as you can see in the bottom left of the gameplay screen, I do lose a little bit of health going off-road there. Oh, get it turned in. Yeah, that Renault Clio is long gone. And second place is not too far behind them. We're kind of in a no man's land for third, which is a little bit better than fourth of the last race at Tsukuba we did here, just a couple races ago. So, I mean, I will take the improvement. I will take the extra points. It's always nice. Yeah, that Clio was brutally fast through there. All right. Well, let's see. Hopefully, we at least I'm able to level up the vehicle. Definitely a good idea, or at least if we can, because leveling up is basically determined by how clean we raced and how far we drove. Oh, we got the Citroen C3. That's a decent car. Nice little semi-sporty hot hatch. 109 horsepower. Not major, but I mean, it's also very, very lightweight, very kind of snappy in the handling. All right, now at level 4, we do have a little bit more power now to use. At 112 points. Okay, yeah, our ranking is definitely tanking. The van is not treating us well. In comparison to the S-Class that we were previously racing. Okay, good. That's a 5.5. That is much more doable. The Burgen Challenge. We're gonna be racing in Germany around a kind of small German town and castle section with a couple high-speed sections as well. As the tracks. I do criticize the game about the lack of tracks in it, but the quality of the tracks themselves is quite good. I do enjoy the actual quality of the tracks. Like, most of the tracks are genuinely fun to race on and are pretty solid. And they do kind of emphasize driver ability versus straight vehicular performance. Mostly. There is the Speediopolis ring, which is kind of it's basically a rating around a trademark version of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But they only have the oval section in the game, and I think that's a very missed opportunity. If they were to do, you know, Indianapolis or Indianapolis trademark-free doppelganger, I think they should have created a road course, either in addition to the oval or just get rid of the oval entirely and have a road course. Because with the oval, because the game itself basically rewards you for driving much better than your vehicle's ability. Because if you drive like the fastest cars in the game, it's gonna be very, very difficult to increase your ranking, purely because all the race is gonna be too easy in terms of the vehicular odds. So you want to drive vehicles that are a bit slower, maybe not quite as slow as the Estima hybrid, but you know, kind of middling performance, C, D, and B class, right around there, to be able to, you know, kind of win, be fast enough to win, and if you can outdrive the vehicle's performance, but not be too fast that, you know, none of the races give you any points and you're just blowing away the competition. But when you're racing on an oval, especially a very high-speed oval, like, you know, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where there's only 4 corners, it's a bit difficult to drive better than your vehicle's performance would allow because there's so few corners. Like with this, I'm able to mostly keep, you know, podium position. I did lose a little bit of time to that RX-7, that Savannah RX-7. Especially because this van still doesn't want to turn. But with the Speediopolis ring, there isn't much you can do. So it basically becomes more so figuring out which vehicles have a high top speed, but not the best handling in order to really kind of do better than what their odds say they'll do. So vehicles more so like the Shelby Cobra or you know, the Mercedes S-Class would do well at Speediopolis ring and be able to do much better than, you know, the stats say they would, just because it is purely a high speed, not so much handling focused circuit. We are keeping some pace with this RX-7 actually. Surprisingly, we're able to kind of match it through some of the twisty bits with the Estima. I say that, I definitely understeered there. That's going to slow me down quite a bit. Trying to keep it off the wall, but also trying to, more or less, I am overdriving the car just a little bit. I need to kind of slow myself down just a little bit more so I can get a faster lap time. Because with racing, especially more physics-based racing, slow is smooth is fast. And while that's easy to memorize and is a good saying and everything, it's much more difficult to put into practice, especially when you can see the leader just up ahead of you and you're trying to lunge, do all the late braking, gain position, especially if you're in a much slower car. So it's it is a little bit tricky. Oh, it's so slow down this straight. It's got decent acceleration, but once it gets to around 100 miles an hour, it doesn't want to go too much faster than that. Come on. Oh, it really doesn't want to turn into the real tight sections. I'm struggling just a little bit. I apologize. This vehicle, it's very sluggish. Does not want to turn. Alright, get it turned in. There we go. We're right within striking distance of the RX-7, but not quite, and I'm hitting the wall way too much. Ah, gosh, come on. Keep it clean, keep it off the wall for the final couple of corners, Isaac, please. Alright. I think they took an odd line through there. I think I can maneuver my way up around here and out accelerate them through this S-curve complex. It's gonna be tough. because I'm going to be at a bad line going through the final corner. Nope, way too wide. Try to take way too much speed there. And there goes the win right in front of us. That was disappointing. That was heartbreak. Still, I mean, we did decently. It should give us a moderate amount of ranking points, which should prevent us from falling down the rankings too much. We did also win a nice Jaguar X-Type. So yeah, it's nice. Yeah, okay, we didn't get any we didn't get any upgrade points because we crashed into the wall just a little bit too much. And our ranking still decreased. Oh gosh, it's going. No matter what we do, it's going to plummet the next race because we're going to be that one RS race we did last stream is going to be much more. Well, we're not going to be able to get any points anywhere close to that, I think. All right, back to Tsukuba. Back to Tsukuba. Here we go. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Now we're doing the reverse version of Tsukuba. Just because they're unfortunately right now, because the game is still kind of used to me with the S-Class, it's not really recommending slower races with vehicles that are similar to the pace of the Estima. So I'm gonna try to find races that I'm able to compete with. But there isn't a whole lot, unfortunately, right now, as the game is trying to randomly generate them. All right, want to brake right at these barriers, get it nice and slowed down. Try to trail brake into the hairpin. Off throttle, slowly roll yourself back onto the throttle, going out of the hairpin. All right, it's basically single file through this S-curve section here, just because there isn't really a whole lot of overtaking opportunities. Oh, easy. Come on. We have still managed to keep our lead though. Second place is very close behind us though. But no one else is even close. That's the car behind is the Daihatsu Storia X4 or Cross 4 depending on who you ask. And that's an interesting car. So Daihatsu as a brand, it's a Japanese only K-car manufacturer. That is owned by Toyota. Well, it's not Japanese only, but they're not sold in the U.S. They are sold in some other countries as well. But the primary market is Japan. And they make vehicles such as the Move, the Storia, and the Copen. The Copen's probably the more famous vehicle because that is, a front-wheel drive, kind of sporty convertible roadster. Very, very small, only about 660 cubic centimeter engine displacement, which is less than a liter of engine displacement. It's very, very small. Turbocharged, makes about 64 horsepower, somewhere around that range. And the Copens are absolutely adorable though. But the vehicle behind us, that is the Daihatsu Storia Cross 4. It's four-wheel drive, turbocharged, inline 3-cylinder engine. Inline 4-cylinder? I think it's an inline 3-cylinder engine producing just over 100 horsepower. Which again doesn't sound like much, but it's got four-wheel drive, and it's also very, very lightweight, very nimble, which around Tsukuba is a very, very important trait to have. So that Storia is going to be harassing us pretty much this entire race. Let's try to hold them off the best of our abilities. And third place is also catching us as well. So it's more or less a three-way fight for first, and then the rest of the pack is way back there in no man's land. Oh, alright. Looks like third has pushed itself into second, and that is the Toyota Altezza, known as the Lexus IS200 in the States. Inline 4-cylinder, about 200 horsepower. If you're familiar with the early 2000s tuner scene, where every car, like every tuner car, had those clear taillights with the chrome reflective inner sort of backplate, the Altezza kind of has those as standard on some of the earlier models, because that was sort of in vogue at the time. That was, you know, edgy, new design. And we are battling side by side, neck and neck. I do have the inside line going into the sweeper. Yeah, as you can see, with the Altezza to the that just got past me, you can see the clear taillights with the chrome inlay. And again, now that kind of became the style of the tuner culture of the early 2000s. You saw it in all of your Integras and Civics and everything as well. Had those when you know, if they were modified and stuff. It looks nice on the Altezza though. Not a big fan of it as an aftermarket modification, but it does look nice on the Altezza. Oh, ran just a wee bit wide there. Alright, we're not really making any inroads on that on the Altezza. So let's try to focus more on defense now and hold that Storia behind us. Because it's definitely out accelerating us out of the corners. And it is outmaneuvering us through the corners as well. So we definitely need to focus on just holding that Storia at bay so we can get a position that's better than third for once during this stream, hopefully. Oh man. It's like an inverse David versus Goliath situation. You have the big, massive minivan and the tiny, nimble Storia duking it out on the track. But the Storia has much better performance. So the Storia itself is actually Goliath, and we are David in the minivan. The very, very slow, very sluggish minivan, trying to maneuver around the track trying to hit all of our braking points, all of our apexes, and still hold on to second place for the final lap, as we are just about halfway through the final lap. Under the Dunlop Bridge, to the left, run wide, run very wide, okay. Come on, nice and easy. Trying to trail brake and threshold brake with just pressure sensitive buttons on a DualShock 3 controller is very, very difficult. So I'm trying to hold you know, about mid braking just to get it turned in, because I don't want to go full braking and try to turn as well, because the car would just plow forwards instead of turning in. But thankfully we did manage to hold on a second. That's good. That'll give us more points, and that'll probably stop some of the bleeding. That'll stop some of the bleeding of our ranking, hopefully. Alright, let's see what car we're able to unlock. Okay, we got another minivan. We got yet another minivan. We got the Toyota Alphard V. Alphard? How to pronounce that? Oh, Alfred. It's just Alfred. I'm putting too much stress on the second A. Alfred. Alright, there we go. We level up our car. That'll definitely help us with the races. Kind of punch just a little bit above our weight class, as the weight is being reduced, thankfully. Car is a little bit lighter. That'll definitely help us in the slower speed corners. Oof. Okay. Our ranking decreased by quite a bit there. So let's try. Okay, we do have a couple of options available to us. high-speed battle. No, we are going to be absolutely demolished at the high-speed battle. All right, we're racing in the snow. against the Altezza. We do have an advantage in the snow a little bit because Altezza is rear-wheel drive, and we are full-wheel drive, so we should be able to accelerate out of the corners much better. It is still going to be very, very tricky because if we finish second, we get no points in a dual event. Thankfully, we do have the all-wheel drive grip accelerating. But all-wheel drive does not help with brakes, so we gotta be careful there. Nice and turned in. I'm being pushed wide. The AI is bullying me just a wee bit. Over the tiny little snow mound. Alright, back onto the brakes. Okay, get it turned in. Alright, come on. Oh, it's not turning. It's not turning. It is not stopping. Alright, we need to make that position now. Alright, we're right up on the Altezza. We can out-accelerate them on the corners. Out of the corners, but they do have quite a bit of advantages against us. Oh man, that higher speed sweeper right-hander is going to be dreadful. That's gonna be very, very tricky. Alright, they're about a second ahead. Come on, let's try. Oh, get it turned in, please. Oh, okay. Oh, please. Okay, back onto the cobblestones. Still very, very slippery. Alright, onto the brakes. Slow it down, get it turned in. It's not turning! Oh, the car does not want to turn. Okay, this is not working out well for us. We are losing so much time. I think it was a mistake to try that event. That was very much a mistake to try that event. Yeah, we got no points. That is going to be... Okay. We got to really work hard now because if our ranking drops below 200... Okay, we're into the full-wheel drive race. It's at low-end steering, which is of course I'm half decent at, especially because the AI itself, the AI does not like using its full gripping ability on heavy bank turns. And the very first turn on this track is a heavily banked turn, so we can use that to our advantage if we can hold on down the front straight. The poor minivan, it is still struggling. This is why you don't see too many minivans racing, because they are very, very slow and very heavy. Not exactly the most aerodynamic, but it is kind of fun trying to beat out, you know, Celica's, Evos, and the like. I'm gonna try at least with third here, because third will still give me a decent amount of points if I can manage it. Although that Audi TT right behind us is going to be very, very tricky to beat as well, because that's about 220 horsepower, fairly nimble. All the cars here are full-wheel drive. In this event, anyway, all the vehicles are full-wheel drive, so it is going to be tricky. Alright, under the Dunlop Bridge. The Audi is attempting to pass us on the inside. And yep. Oh, we did get the cut back. That's good. We were able to pass the Evo 3. Alright, so we got two very, very high performance turbocharged four-wheel drive beasts right behind us. Audi's gonna dive bomb us on the hairpin. Alright, managed to get past us. Back down to third. Alright, that Celica GT4 is long gone. So right now we're just trying to get somewhere between third and second and fourth. This is a three-way fight basically for second. Oh, understeer is painful. Nope, down to fourth. Okay. Oh man. Alright, I'm gonna try to work my way to getting past the Evo 3 again. I am bleeding positions though very quickly. Thankfully 5th and 6th are way back there, so I don't have to worry too much about not getting any points for this event. But oh please. Run on the curbs just a little bit. Alright, run to the tail of the lion. Get around there, please. Use a little bit of the curb on the outside. Carry some speed through the sweeper. You gotta be careful though, because it goes from an increasing radius back to a decreasing radius corner. And it's very, very tricky. It's very subtle as well, because it also goes uphill. If you're not careful, vehicle will understeer quite a bit there. Now we're going through basically the backwards Radion corner over the crest. Alright, we gotta run on the Evo. Not able to keep it there because this van has no power. That Evo's got an extra like 100 horsepower on us, or close to it. Alright, across the line, onto the final lap. We are in fourth. Okay, let's try to use this banking to our advantage, see if we can't gain some time on the Evo. Because again, the AI do not like using their vehicles full performance on the banking for some reason. Not that I'm complaining, because it does allow for performing much better than them at certain tracks, such as Low End Searing, which is this one, and Rev City as well. Both of them have bank corners that are very much key to beating or at least holding off the AI. Ooh, easy. Back down to the left hairpin, the final hairpin of the lion's mane. Onto the neck. Alright. Now we're onto the torso straight. Basically the front of the lion. Steadily working through the front leg S-curves. Okay. Back again to the left. Alright, now we're going on to the front paw hairpin. I do like to, when it's a track I'm somewhat familiar with, I do like to give corners their own sort of fantasy corner names if it's not a real life track. So this is front paw. Because if you look at the actual track map, it does look quite a bit like an kind of a similar-ish to a lion. Right now we're about to be, driving across its belly. So this is tummy 1. Oh, and then in this corner is tummy 2, and then this is back paw, the back paw sweeper. As we are getting close to the rear of the lion now. This corner is, right around there on the lion. I call it starfish. And then onto the tail corner complex. Onto the tip of the tail. Alright, and the tail corner, the tail sweeper, again, it is a varying radius corner. So you think you can, gradually get faster and faster going through it, but then it gets really tight right at the exit of the corner as well. And you got to get yourself set up for basically the mirrored Radeon corner here. Which, if you're familiar with the Spa track, it is basically a mirror of Radeon. And, oh, can we hold off? Yes, we can. Okay, we finished third. We're on the podium. That's good. Very, very good. Especially with odds at 10.8, that's sort of at the upper level of, being competitive. So, we definitely got quite a bit of points there. Let's see what vehicles we can unlock. Alright, we got the Celica GT4. Very, very nice car. The rally version of that car is really, really funny. The rally version of the car had this very, very innovative, although very cheatsy restrictor plate, where at full throttle the restrictor plate would actually kind of open up just a little bit, and the car was able to get much more power because of that. And it was very, very despite it being cheating, granted in motorsport, if you're not cheating, you're not winning. But it was really, really innovative, because unless the car was going full throttle, the restrictor plate was 100% closed. And it was only when the car was at full throttle that the restrictor plate would open up a little bit and allow for more power. And it's funny, when the FIA actually found it, the regulating body for the WRC, when they found it, they were like, oh wow, this is really, really cool. You're still banned though, but well done, that's very impressive. Oh, alright. We do have a few events we can attempt. I think we're probably going to be doing another one of the low-end steering challenges, just so we can try to avoid bleeding too much points, try to gain some points back, especially now that the performance of the Estima is coming to us as the vehicle is leveling up. So we'll be doing two more, or another race here at low-end steering. It is one of my favorite tracks in the game as well, just because it has pretty much every type of corner complex imaginable, from S-curves to hairpins to bank turns. So again, it's got backwards Radeon. There goes the Ford T-Bird, rocketing into the lead. Yeah, this is, like I said, this game is really, really cool, because it's one of the few games we can actually see, a Ford, the at least currently, last generation Ford T-Bird rocket into the lead of a race, and have that still make sense. Because all the vehicles are, different performances of each other, but it's still roughly around the same pace, or semi-close to it, at least balanced within, mostly balanced within each other. And that T-Bird though, it's much faster than our minivan. A cool thing about those 2003 T-Birds though, is that those T-Birds, the V8 engine that was in it, the supercharged V8 engine that was in the T-Birds, was actually developed by Jaguar, because at the time, Ford owned both Aston Martin and Jaguar. So the T-Birds actually have the Jaguar engines inside of them, which is really cool. It's also why, if you kind of squint just a little bit, the early 2000s Jaguar XKRs, if you look at the rear especially, it kind of looks like the early 2000s Ford Taurus as well, just a little bit, especially if you look at the rear window. The two cars look kind of similar. Because they do share the same design language from each other. Although I imagine those that purchased a Jaguar XKR don't quite like their vehicle being compared to a very, very mundane Ford four-door sedan. Who owns Jaguar nowadays? I have to check that. I have to check that after this race. Who owns Jaguar nowadays? Because Ford, right around like 2005, 2006, Ford kind of sold off a lot of the European brands that they owned. So I need to see who owns Jaguar. I know Aston Martin is owned by Lawrence Stroll, which, if that name sounds familiar, he's Lance Stroll, the Formula One driver. Lawrence Stroll is Lance Stroll's father, and well, Lance Stroll drives for the Aston Martin Formula One team. Which his dad also owns. So yeah. A little bit of off-course excursion. Don't want to go below the white line to the left. Trying to gain some time back up on the T-Bird. Now the one downside, I actually quite like the look of the early 2000s T-Birds. But the two things I don't really like on them, the first one, the transmission, it only came in automatic. Which is very, very unfortunate for a vehicle that you're trying to sort of encapsulate the more sportier models of T-Birds. You didn't get the option of a manual transmission, at least not to my knowledge. They only came in automatic. It's the same with the Chrysler Prowler, which, again, another cool car kind of ruined by the engine and transmission that was put inside of it. The Chrysler Prowler, it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of reminiscent of, you know, the hot rods that were built out of, like, you know, the 1930s coupes and stuff like that. And it came in all these cool metallic colors and everything. And it had, you know, the high shine, you know, chrome rims and all that stuff. But it was powered only by a V6 engine that wasn't exactly great. And the Prowler also only had an automatic transmission as well to it. That being said, though, if I had the money, you know, if I were a rich man or whatever, which I am not, but if I were, I would definitely, I'd own a Prowler, even with those issues. It's a very cool looking car. And it's kind of the weird, cars that I get drawn to a little bit. Like I love my tuners, I love my, you know, muscle cars, my, you know, sports cars, exotics, and all that stuff. You know, your mainstream vehicles. But there's definitely a few kind of weird or mundane cars that are on my list of very desirable vehicles. Either due to like nostalgia, you know, either my family or family of friends own one of those when I was a kid or whatever, or, you know, just the style factor. But no, the early 2000s, some of the cars in the early 2000s, on one hand, they were really, really cool because they were kind of focusing on a lot of the retro, you know, retro styling and stuff, trying to be reminiscent of the cars of old with a modern twist. But on the other hand, some of those cars, I don't quite understand who they were trying to sell to. The biggest one, granted, this is also a car that's on my cool list, my I wanna own list. But the Chevrolet SSR, the convertible truck that Chevy made in the early 2000s. That one, it's weird. It has an LS series engine in it. Very nice. It's, you know, got for a truck, a lighter chassis, you know, kind of sporty tuned suspension, lower to the ground, kind of, you know, it's almost like they tried to create sort of a more modern El Camino in a way. But it really, especially at the price point it was being sold at, because it was being sold at like, you know, close to pretty much at the price of a Corvette. It was a vehicle that didn't really do anything well for its price point, because the Corvettes were, and the Camaros were faster than it, and because they also had the LS series engines, but they had a chassis that was more, it wasn't a truck chassis. You know, the weight distribution was much more even at the front and the rear. The suspension was more so, especially for the Corvette, the suspension was much more sophisticated, and all that stuff. But you also couldn't really use the SSR as a truck because, well, it didn't exactly have the best towing capacity because it didn't really have a chassis that was built for, you know, heavy hauling either. And also, if you're buying a $60,000 truck, you're not gonna be, you know, you're not gonna be loading a bunch of logs in the bed and everything. You know, you want to be able to take care of it. So you can't really use it as a truck either. So you kind of had a vehicle that cost as much as a Corvette, but not as fast as a Corvette, that couldn't really do the truck part of its job either. I genuinely don't know who it was trying to sell to, but it was really, really cool. It was that kind of bonkers, off the wall design philosophy and everything that kind of makes it really, really cool. Even if it was a sales flop, I definitely wouldn't mind owning one of them. If you know, like it is a vehicle that is in the dream garage. Alright. I had a very, very short circuit. I think this is Autumn Hill or Autumn something, but it's got the nice fall colors. This is actually a really, really pretty track as well, especially the longer version, Autumn Mountain, because that very, very pretty. You get to drive past, you know, a bunch of like the Japanese maple trees, where they're all, you know, bright different colors and everything. But I do like the shorter circuit as well because it's very momentum based. You kind of, you know, driving at very similar speeds throughout. You know, getting onto the gas, onto the brakes, kind of trail braking through all the corners, keeping your momentum up to the best of your abilities. And it's a very, very fun circuit. And it's kind of reminiscent of a lot of like the older school circuits, like for example the Goodwood circuit in the UK. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that, where there isn't really any super hard braking points, and it's mostly you just trying to keep your momentum, keep it off the wall, and hold on tight as you go around a fairly simple but also rather tight and deceivingly complex track. Deceivingly simple. It's like it's more complex than it lets on. And there's definitely a couple of spots where you can gain a lot of lap time if you know exactly how to position your vehicle. Like right through there. I did take the corner a little bit wide, but you can basically take that corner. If you position yourself right, you can take that corner much, much faster than trying to slam on the brakes and slow and get it turned in. If you just graze the brakes, you can get it turned in and keep your speed through it for the most part, which is nice. Even with the van, even with the very, very heavy van, we can do decently. We have a decent lead, surprisingly. Now that the minivan, it's at a level 7, it's got much more grip. It's a bit more nimble. We can definitely take on some faster competition. Like this is like the odds for this are like a 3.9, which admittedly is much lower than some other races that we've done in the ESTIMA. but we were still a ways away, in front of the competition, which is good. It's good to get a couple wins here and there. All right, let's get it turned in, nice and easy. Alright, about halfway through the semi-final lap. Let's get through there. Nice through the chicane. No off-course excursions there. No tapping the wall. No tippy-tapping the wall. Alright, get it nice and turned in around the sweeper. A little bit of off-course there. That's okay. Just kick up a little bit of dust. Not too much. Alright, on to the final lap. It looks like we might actually be on pace. No, we're a little bit too far back. We're kind of close. If we had 2 more laps, we could probably lap last place. That's how short this track is. This track is very, very short. But it is a lot of fun to race on as well, because short tracks in general are very fun to race on, because it's you can really focus not so much on, you know, memorizing the corners, but more so you can really get down to brass tacks, improving your lap time very quickly when practicing for, you know, races on the shorter circuits. Which is also why, as I've gotten older, I do like the Super circuit as well, because it is also a very, very short, but also very technical track. It packs a lot of track into a very, very small package, and that's the same with this track as well. Nice. Got a very, very decisive win there. That's good. Definitely will help us. Maybe not necessarily get points to rank up, but definitely help us level up our vehicle a little bit. Fortunately, we didn't get any new vehicles, but that's perfectly fine. There should be enough points to level up yet again. It is. That's good. There we go. Vehicle is now as light as it's going to be. Now we just need to upgrade the tires and the power 1 more time each. Our ranking did decrease by quite a bit. But the next week that is going to be eliminated is a week that got no points. So hopefully they can kind of focus on getting some decent points here. We'll be doing the Toyota Cup at Victoria Garden. And we're going to be racing the Toyota Supra and the Toyota 2000 GT. The Toyota 2000 GT is such a gorgeous car. We'll be racing against both of those. And we will be in the Toyota hybrid minivan. And we'll be racing against a Supra. That sounds like an even matchup, right? Oh, the Supra is going to absolutely destroy us in this race. But we have a decent shot at second. Maybe if we can outmaneuver it on some of the tight, very, very twisty corners, or if the Supra gets slowed down by the other AI drivers, because the Supra is starting last place, we may have a shot. Alright, right from the get-go, we're in a very, very tight hairpin. Use the e-brake just to get it turned in just a little bit. That Toyota Vitz, known as the Yaris in the States, but in Japan it was known as the Vitz. The Vitz RS is very, very close. And that's especially if we understeer. Even with all these upgrades, the estimate is still very understeery. I'm gonna adjust settings after this race. Get a little bit more turn in. I'll probably increase the rake a little bit more of the car. And then probably the camber at both the front and rear wheels, just a little bit more negative camber. And then some toe, adjusted toe at the front of the vehicle as well. Should help with cornering. Because as of right now, the high speed corners, it's not too bad. It's the low speed corners it still doesn't want to turn at. Alright, use e-brakes, get it spun around. Out of the corner, use the hybrid system to kind of help us accelerate out of the very, very low speed hairpin left-hander. Alright, through the twisty bits, the higher speed twisty bits, kind of feather the throttle through here. There we go. And we gotta watch ourselves. This left-hander goes through a tunnel, and it's very narrow. The joys of street circuits, where the width of the track basically goes from very, very wide to very narrow to very wide again. Ooh. Back again to the left. Granted, I do quite like street circuits as well. Street circuits... Okay, some street circuits are really, really fun. And then there are some street circuits that are absolutely dreadful. They're much more hit or miss. Like Monaco is very fun to race around, even if the racing itself isn't all that great. But it's very fun to race around, you know, on the sim and everything, and all the racing games and stuff. But then you have tracks like if you watched IndyCar during the early 2010s, you might be familiar with the Baltimore Street Circuit, and that is well, that's probably about as close as you can get to my hometown street circuit. And the thing is, they decided to have the track go over the light rail system. You know, with the trams and stuff like that go through the city. The track itself goes over the rails, and basically they had to put this makeshift chicane there for every time they raced there, in order to slow down the cars on the straight, so they didn't go flying and, you know, catch air off of the light rails. It's kind of ridiculous. That whole race, when they raced it multiple times, was absolutely filled with scandal, contractors not being paid by the city, all that stuff. So Maryland may never get another high-profile open-wheel race, at least not for a long time. At least not on a city street circuit. Maybe if some billionaire invests in some land and develops a permanent racing circuit here, maybe. But otherwise, no. We have 2 dirt ovals and a couple of drag strips in Maryland. Otherwise, the closest circuit to us, like permanent road course circuit, is Summit Point out in West Virginia, and that's still a ways away. Ooh, running wide. Oh, this car, if you try to push just a little bit too hard, it just doesn't want to turn at all anymore. It just decides, nope, not doing it. Wall, here he comes. Embrace me, wall. Alright. On to the final lap, here we go. We're actually in first still, surprisingly. We were beating the Supra in a minivan. But I think it's because that Toyota Vitz is holding them up. It is very difficult to pass on the Victoria Gardens track, mostly because it is very, very narrow, and the 2 heavy braking points go into a corner that is itself very, very narrow as well. So there isn't a whole lot of room for passing. So thankfully, because the slower vehicles do start closer to the front, but that does give us a bit of an advantage if we can run a defensive race, especially if also the AI can defend against the faster cars as well. Okay, the Supra got past the Vitz, the Yaris, but we are very, very far ahead of them, so we don't have to worry about it too much. Through the final chicane. And then a final left-hander. Here we go. Run around the corner. Onto the throttle. Onto the home straight. And here we go. Across the line. Eventually. There we go. Oh, man. I don't think I had a single clean lap that race. Ah, that track is so difficult, especially with that hairpin there. It's so difficult to get right. Alright, didn't get any cars, that's fine. There we go, okay, our vehicle's leveled up. That's good. We've also leveled up as well, that'll give us more hit points. Okay, so now we have some extra grippy boys on our car. So we have the Z-rated tires on a minivan. We actually got a decent amount of points there. That's good. That's very, very good. All right, probably 1 or 2 more races until this vehicle is max level. Oh no, I want to actually. Well, firstly, what I wanted to do is I wanted to see who owns Jaguar now. Oh, okay. It's Tata Motors is who owns Jaguar, the Indian car company. All right, cool. They also own Land Rover too. Interesting. All right, and I also wanted to adjust the front suspension as well on this car. So I want to lower the front ride height just a little bit more. I do want to get just a front toe and add just a little bit more camber. And I'm gonna unlock the front differential just a bit because I am struggling on those low speed corners with turning. So that should give us a bit more leeway going into these races. Ooh, let's race at Pacific Gateway, basically in Fantasy San Francisco. So you do have the really steep incline just after the start finish line, and if your car doesn't have a whole lot of power, like this van does not have a lot of power. You will be struggling uphill. We do have decent acceleration thanks to the hybrid system. Oh, but that Toyota Celica GT4 is immediately right behind us. It also got a good launch due to its 4-wheel drive and rally racing pedigree. It's gonna be a tough one to beat, especially in the uphill section here. Oh, our van is struggling. Our van is struggling so much. Come on, you beautiful van. All right, trail brake into the sweeper right-hander that basically goes immediately into the bus stop chicane. Take some curbing on exit. Take a bit of wall also on exit apparently. Ran just a wee bit wide there. Alright, very high speed sweeper. You gotta be careful because the wall does catch you out if you're not careful. Alright, through the chicane. Alright, now we're going through the sort of the rich neighborhood. A lot of the houses that are overlooking the bay. Very wealthy McMansions and stuff. Going through here. So it's gonna be a lot more kind of residential streets. Through this section of the street circuit before we go back going back to the actual waterfront itself. But right now we're kind of having more longer continuous corners as opposed to much more sharper 90-degree street style corners. These are more kind of flowing road racing corners. This is a decent track as well. A lot of elevation change to keep you on your toes. Alright, we are quite a ways ahead of the Celica, which is good. Into the another one of the bus stop chicanes that does carry us into a very wide sweeper. Cross the line onto the final lap. Oh, get it turned in. Nope, a little bit wide there. Try to carry just a little bit too much speed to that corner. Just this car does not want to turn. It's just way too heavy. It is oh, it's a minivan. There's no going around it. It's a minivan. It's been fun. It's been fun trying to beat the much faster cars with the minivan though. But it is still a minivan. And I'm going to enjoy once we get this to level 10, do another race with it at level 10. And I'm going to enjoy the next vehicle from the specialty class that we are going to pick. Because I do want to attempt to get every vehicle in the game and also get every vehicle to level 10. So this will be kind of a longer running series where I get to enjoy kind of driving all the different cars in this game and talking about them and among other cars and stuff. And yeah, that'd be fun. All right, we're getting close to the end of this race. It should be. We've been pretty clean this race. So that should allow us to level up our vehicle to level 10, and then we have one more race with the vehicle just to see how well or poor it performs at its maximum performance potential. When it is fully tuned, fully upgraded, it'll be interesting to see. Alright, nice and easy through the chicane. Ooh, we'll use a little bit of runoff there. And there we go, across the line. Beautiful. Alright, there we go. Let's see. First, let's see what vehicle we're able to get. This game also has a Prius, which we have won. We've won the Prius. All hail the mighty Prius. It's the first generation Prius as well. Which is an interesting car. Fun fact about the Prius. Well, maybe not necessarily fun fact. But when the Prius was first released, there was an issue. I think it was the first generation Prius that had this issue. It might be the first or the second generation Prius. Give me a second. Let me look that up real quick. Prius. No, sorry, it was the second generation Prius had this issue where if you took your vehicle to like Jiffy Lube or like, you know, one of those, you know, quick service stations and stuff like that, oftentimes in order to save time and also to keep track of all the customers' keys and stuff like that, the key will be left inside the ignition but in the off position. And so with that, you know, that way, you know, you can quickly start the car and everything. But what would happen with the Priuses is because doing that would kind of drain the battery a little bit as well. And if the battery got too low, the engine would actually automatically start up in order to, you know, recharge the battery, have the engine act as sort of like a mobile generator So what would happen was you'd have lube mechanics leave the keys in the Priuses because they did that with every other car without any issues. They'd raise the vehicle up, they'd do the oil change to get the oil out and everything, take the filter off, and usually, depending on how long it took them, the battery would start draining, and the vehicle would try to start its engine when there is no oil in there. So all of a sudden, the mechanics would have to panic, lower the car back down on the lift, turn the engine off, remove the keys, and then lift it back up and put oil in it before too much damage was done. And Toyota actually had to release a technical service bulletin for that to say, hey guys, remove the keys completely from the car. Just put in a glove compartment or something. Otherwise, the engine will start with the keys in the ignition in the off position if the battery is starting to drain. But that caused quite a bit of quite a bit of a panic when that first started happening. So little bit of automotive trivia there for a car that I know not a whole lot of people, at least not too many automotive enthusiasts, care about. But still, it is a fun bit of trivia. Ooh, alright, this is gonna be tricky. This is gonna be the 4-drive limited race. We got 10.1 odds, and we're going against a Golf R32 and a Legacy B4. Okay, so this is gonna be tricky because this is gonna be a final race in the minivan in the Estima. Let's do it. Come on, van power. Around Autumn Mountain, the full course of Autumn Mountain, not the Autumn Hill. Ooh, not the best start. A little bit sluggish off the line. Alright, we got the Jaguar just to the inside. We gotta watch ourselves, because they may run wide. It is a very heavy sedan. And then what's that blue car just behind me? I can't quite see it in my rear views. But it is side by side with me, going through the chicane. There we go. Managed to get past it. Okay, that was the Audi All-Road Quattro. Okay, so that's the station wagon. Oh gosh, and there's the Golf R32. Golf R32 is such a cool car as well. It has that VR6 engine in it, which is kind of a hybrid between an inline 6 and a V6. Really interesting, the engine to work on, those VR6 engines. Unfortunately, they're not really in production anymore, as Volkswagen's more so focused now on turbocharged inline 4s as opposed to the now naturally aspirated VR6s. But still, the VR6 is a really cool engine. It was on the Golf R32, the Mark IV Golf R32. It was on the Corrado VR6. What was some of the other cars it was on? I know it was definitely on those two. It was on a few others as well that are escaping my mind. But it's a very interesting engine. Because sort of the basis, or at least the basis of theory for the VR6 and how it's put together, kind of became the Volkswagen, Motor Corporation, the full-on conglomerate, with all of its sub-brands, also used that for things like the W12 and W16 engine that was used on stuff like, the Bentley Continentals and, obviously the Bugatti Veyron. Both of those engines kind of trace their lineage back a little bit to the Volkswagen VR6 engine. So it's interesting, really cool. Because I mean, if you're going to develop an engine, you may as well use that technology you learned from that to develop engines for your high-performance Halo cars. Oh yeah, the Volkswagen Phaeton, their really obscure luxury sedan, the Volkswagen Phaeton, that also was powered by the W12 engine as well. It's probably one of the earlier models to use the W12 engine. And again, unfortunately, that car didn't sell too well because it was, it was a very, very top of the line luxury sedan meant to compete with the likes of Audi and Mercedes and BMW. But it was, a Volkswagen still. So people kind of turned the nose up a little bit at the brand recognition because Volkswagen is more so, the people's car, which is, literally the German to English translation of Volkswagen is, the car for the people. So the people's car, tried to make a luxury car, and it didn't really sell well. It was a really cool car though. It depreciated faster than dropping a rock out of an airplane, but it was still a really cool car. Alright. Yeah, that Golf R32 is long gone. We do have a fairly solid second place position. Third is catching us up just a little bit, but not too much. Run just a little bit wide there. Come on, round the sweeper. There we go. I'm looking forward to getting into a vehicle with an actual transmission I can shift instead of just drive gear. Have actual multiple gears I can choose between while I'm racing. That'd be very, very nice. Because right now that's probably the biggest thing that's holding me back with the Estima hybrid. Is it does not have a manual shifting mode. It is essentially drive. Drive is the only gear we have. Alright, nice and easy. Through the tunnel. Back to the left. To get ready for this right-hander. Alright, we're gonna use the banking. It's this very, very slightly banked hairpin here. Through the S-curves. There we go. Alright, final corner complex before the final straight. Full power ahead. Nice. Alright, there's the finish line. Awesome, there we go. So the SMO wasn't too dreadful to race with. Very, very understeery, but otherwise not too bad. Definitely not the best car I've raced with, but not the worst either. Probably. So now we're gonna be switching to the special. Well, firstly, we're gonna need to see what vehicle we have won. We have 4 options we can win from. We got the Subaru Legacy, very, very nice. Boxer engine, turbocharged, 180 horsepower, 4-wheel drive. Very, very nice. The older Legacies were used in rally racing as well before the Impreza became the de facto rally car. And they had moderate success. I got a solid amount of points. Not quite enough points. We still lost ranking there. That's fine. All right, so now let's switch our vehicle. So previously we had a multi-purpose vehicle, which is basically your SUVs and your minivans and stuff. So now we're going to be focusing on your specialty vehicles, seeing what options we have available. And we have 4 options available currently. We have the Mazda Cosmos Sport, one of the first rotary engine sports cars created. Absolutely gorgeous, very, very beautiful. Kind of got that retro futuristic vibe on it. We have the Nissan Skyline 350 GT. Otherwise known as the Infiniti G35 in the States. Good choice there. Good high-powered front-engine rear-wheel drive car. A little squirrely if you're aggressive on the throttle. We've got the Mustang GT. That one's always a fun car to race with. It's the 5th generation Mustang. It's got the 3 valves per cylinder modular V8. And then also we have the Ford Thunderbird. bit less power, a little bit more weight. It's got the Jaguar V8 engine in it, and some options did have the supercharger, but this one is the naturally aspirated version. We're already kind of racing a slower vehicle, so I want to go for something just a little bit faster. I'm going to choose the Infiniti G35 with the Skyline 350G. I'm gonna get in this crystal blue metallic in matte with the manual transmission. Nice. Alright, I'm gonna quick run to the restroom. I'll be back in just a second. Please do not go anywhere. Thank you. Alright, I'm back. Thank you. Thank you for being patient. Sorry. I try to, you know, not use the restroom too much whilst streaming, because I know you just the dead air is a little bit, you know, not necessarily all that fun. But otherwise, you know, it is. I do need to go. I'm sorry. Alright, but I am back. Alright, we want to adjust this towards more acceleration, just a little bit. Alright, let's get some negative camber on the vehicle. Alright, a little bit of toe. And I'm actually gonna stiffen up. No, I'm gonna soften the rear just a tad. There we go. Perfect. Because the car itself is fairly... It's decent at cornering ability. Right from the get-go, you can see that there is, you know, a whole lot of... The odds are much more in our favor, shall we... So we can enter, you know, the really difficult events without worrying about, you know, needing, you know, running into any issues. Ooh, a little bit of wheel spin. Now let's try go around the outside of the Mini. Alright, up in the second. We do have another G35 behind us, or the Japanese version of it anyway. Oh gosh, oversteered now. I've gotten used to the minivan with no power. Now I'm in a fairly high-powered rear-wheel drive car with no traction control. So I got a little bit squirrely through that corner complex there. Alright, nice and easy. Alright, lost second. Let's try to get in that back. That Evo is very quick through the city streets, so we're gonna try to really have to push, but not too hard. Be like right on the very edge of our vehicle's limit of control. A little bit of contact there from the other G35. Right within striking distance of the Evo. It's very difficult trying to accelerate out of the low speed corners. because I am spinning the rear tires just a little bit. You can see on the center display with that yellow circle moving around, that's the visual center of gravity, and it also shows roughly how much I am using the tires as well, like how much grip the tires are exerting. So the fuller they fill up with white, the closer they are to their maximum grip limits. And when they're red, that means they've lost traction. Okay. That was a very costly mistake there. Let's gain back some time now. We have 2 more laps to make up some time. Try to salvage some points, and I'll have to readjust some things in the car a bit later after the race. Back up in the 4th, we're at least in a points-paying position now. There's the Nissan Silvia, the S15. Try to outbrake them going to the tighter right-hander there. There we go. Alright, up the steep hill climb. Let's try to catch that other G35 and the Evo. We still have a little bit of time to make up ground. It's gonna be tough though. Oh, especially because the changes in elevation, especially the rapid changes in elevation, it does mess with the vehicle's handling quite a bit. Alright, nice and easy through here. Ooh, easy. I can hear them on the other end of the hairpin. We're getting closer, but we're still not quite within striking distance. I can't quite see them. Alright, there's the G35. We are making some ground back up. If I don't spin it there, please, Isaac, come on. Nice and easy. Let's not spin here. We spun here last lap. Let's not do that again. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our mistakes on this channel when we're not crashing the telephone poles in a Ford Mustang. Ooh. Alright. Very, very fast at the bus stop chicane. I have to memorize that, because that actually works beautifully. I think I gained close to a second on that Evo there. And there they are, just up ahead. Oh yeah, and that G35 and that Evo are duking it out. A little bit too aggressive into that corner. Tried to carry too much momentum through there. Alright, getting close. We should be able to go for an attack, at least on one of them, this lap. I forgot just how squirrely the Skyline, basically the G35. I'm just gonna call it the G35. It's the Skyline, the Japanese version of the Japanese badged G35, but it's a G35 nonetheless. I forgot how squirrely that was at the rear. Definitely need to adjust rear camber a little bit, as well as maybe stiffen up the front, and that should help a little bit. Oh man, oh, he had some issues, and that caused issues for us. Battling for position, trying to pass her on the outside. We're side by side. I can take the inside line going into this heavy braking zone here. Nice and smooth through here. There we go. Okay. Very, very tricky through this corner complex. Alright. The Evo is still... Ooh. Nope. Spinning. Okay, didn't quite manage to save it from the spin. Didn't manage to get first though. That's unfortunate. But second place, I will take that, especially as we're getting used to a very, very different car. Definitely not the cleanest of races there. Let's see what vehicle we're able to obtain. No vehicle. That's perfectly fine. Not the best. We got 6 measly points. All right, we got the didn't exactly have the best race there, but that's fine. We can I've learned from that. I know how to adjust the settings of the vehicle now to reduce the tendency towards spinning. We want to stiffen the front just a tad and adjust the rear toe just a little bit and give it just a little bit more negative rear camber and dial back the rear differential just a tad. Because that should allow slides to be a little bit easier to recover. And we're gonna be racing at Lowenseering. Oh, and we're gonna be racing against the Roof RGT. So during the early 2000s, EA pretty much had the exclusive license to Porsche. So if you wanted a Porsche in your game, you needed to kind of jump through a lot of hoops, or you got a different manufacturer that made cars that were very similar to Porsches. And the two big ones that were used throughout the early 2000s racing games were Gambala and Roof. And Roof basically is, you might think, well, it's a Porsche, and you're half right. The original chassis is a Porsche chassis, but because everything else on the vehicle has been rebuilt or redesigned out of, lighter weight components, the entire engine has been rebuilt with forged internals and all that stuff. It is under German law. It is legally an entirely different road car. It is not considered a modified Porsche, but it is considered a Roof directly from the factory. So because of that does mean that they can be licensed for racing games separately from your Porsche 911s or other Porsche vehicles. And if you're not familiar with Roof, there is one particular car made by Roof during the 80s that I think everyone should take a look at. It is, it's called the Yellowbird. And it is basically, for a short time, a very, very short time, it was considered one of the fastest production vehicles in the world when it was released. Because they took a Porsche 911, one of the older Porsche 911s, the 80s Porsche 911s, completely stripped it down, completely, replaced the body panels with, their custom components, souped up the engine to insane amount of power. I think just under 500 horsepower is what the Yellowbird makes. And there's a video on YouTube about where someone is taking a Yellowbird around the Nordschleife in Germany, and basically they are like sideways through the entire track, and just because those rear-engine Porsches were very, very, very difficult to drive. You needed to be a true professional to not get killed in one of those things, because of the rear-engine nature. It was really, really good for kind of rotating the car around tighter corners and stuff, but if you're not careful, the car will very much like to end you. Ooh, got a little bit loose over the crest there. Alright, we're ways away from that RGT, the roof RGT. It looks like an S2000. I can't quite make it out in the rearview mirror. But we're in a solid second position right now, which is good. Can definitely make up a little bit of ground through the bank section here. But man, that roof is very, very quick. Very fast car. Even faster when I'm not, when I'm, you know, struggling with the kind of reworking my brain to work with rear-wheel drive, very slidey boy. As this car very much wants to rotate under braking as well. Nice. Feather the throttle and corner exit until you get straight again. Do not want to spin coming out of the tight, the front paw hairpin. Alright, on to tummy 1. Into tummy 2. Onto the back paw sweeper. There we go. Through starfish. Gotta watch yourselves. The car gets very light going over the crest here. Very easy to spin it. There we go. Alright, through mirrored Radion. Back up through the crest. Hit the apex on there. Carry as much momentum as you can down the front straight. And there we go. There's the finish line. Second place, that's not bad. It's pretty good. Got a very, very solid finish there. And it was the S2000 behind us. The S2000 definitely punches well above its weight class in this game. Very, very good handling car. Very, very nice. And we got to S2000. Nice. 9,000. Crazy high rev limit. Very, very high revving inline 4-cylinder engine. That F-Series engine. Our vehicle also has been upgraded as well. It's a bit lighter, which will make it just a little bit squirrelier, but it'll also help us. With cornering. Our ranking number is now within 50, so now we can enter, you know, the RS series of events. I'm gonna do just a few more settings in the garage because you want it just a little bit more stable, I think. There we go. Yeah, I think that's good. So the car itself is starting to get more balanced as I'm adjusting it a bit more. That's an off-road event. Off-road is not exactly the best in rear-wheel drive vehicles. Let's do a race around the Nordschleife, 1 lap race around it. And we'll be trying to fend off against things like a Shelby Cobra and the TVR Cerbera. Oh gosh. Okay, those two are very, very fast cars. But we are also in a reasonably quick car as well. So I think we'll be fine. We've got this. We will be starting on pole, so we can use that to our advantage, especially because the AI. Oh yeah, the Cobras are super cool. Especially the high displacement, the 427 side oiler ones. Those ones are insane. Oh gosh, they had some issues going into the first corner. I'll use that to my advantage. Oh yeah, but the Cobras, the Shelby Cobras are so nice. The 427 ones especially, they were very powerful. Used to very large amount of success in SCCA. Sorry, the smaller displacement ones we used in SCCA Class A racing, where the main rivals were the Corvette, the C2 Corvette Stingrays. And it was a pretty intense rivalry during the 60s in the SCCA classes with the Cobras and the Corvettes. And then you had the 427s that were built for professional level of racing as well. And those, very rare, very valuable, very cool cars. And then you have the really desirable Cobra. And I think I have to look up how many were made. There wasn't a whole lot made. But you had the Cobra Daytona. The Ford 427 is very close to your favorite engine. Yeah, it's a really nice engine. What is your favorite engine, by the way, Sprockets? Because mine is the 13B, the Renesis, not the Renesis, the 13B REW from the FD RX-7. I really like those because the horsepower per liter for those are really lightweight, but they make so much power with the turbochargers. It's really cool. But I'm definitely curious to see what your favorite engine is. Ooh, almost spun it there. Oh, the Boss 429. Oh yeah, the big block that was used in the Mustangs and stuff. Yeah, those are really cool too. Yeah, I love a lot of the different engines and stuff. Everything from my muscle cars to my tuners. I can kind of understand the whole the muscles versus tuners debate and everything, and the rivalry and all that. But at the end of the day, I love all the cars. They're so much fun. Oh, that TVR is definitely gaining on us though. We have to be very careful through the twisty bits here as the road becomes more undulating, a lot of ups and downs. Get it straightened back out onto the straight. And we're entering most of these corners sideways here. Thankfully, the Nordschleife isn't exactly that great for racing. It's very narrow. So I can run a defensive line with this. Ooh, easy. That worked, surprisingly. I thought I was going to get absolutely crossed up going into that corner there as the wheels started sliding under braking. Ooh, nice and easy. There we go. Yeah, this car, it does not have any driver aid, so when you're pushing it to the limit, you gotta be very careful not to push it over the limit. Okay, the TVR definitely would manage to out-accelerate us there. Let's see if we can't gain it back through, we do have a high-speed section coming up. A very long kind of semi-straight. I mean, it's about as close as you can get to straight on this course, aside from the Kemmel straight. Kemmel straight? No, that's a Spa. What is the really long straight on the Nordschleife? I'm trying to remember. Regardless, we have a very high speed section here, very high speed corners. But yeah, the Boss 429 engine, that's a really good engine as well. My dad, when he was younger, he had an old T-Bird with a different 429. He had the 429 Thunderjet in his T-Bird, when he was younger and stuff. And he saw his pictures of it, and it was so cool. So it was the 1969 T-Bird. So it's still kind of, it's kind of a muscle car. It was a much heavier kind of personal luxury muscle car, but it had lots of power to it as well. But unfortunately, he had to sell it when the oil, a bit after the oil crisis hit during the late 70s, because he just couldn't afford to keep it filled up. And he says he regrets that ever since. But he just couldn't afford it, unfortunately. But it was such a cool car. He had the pictures of it and everything. It was, all very, 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 very nice looking, but also very luxurious, because it had the vinyl roof with the Landaus and all the little luxury bits on it. Easy. Car got a little bit sideways there. Back again to the right. A little bit of counter steering as I'm on corner exit, because the car still has just a little bit of oversteer, especially under braking. It is helping me getting around the more momentum based corners though, like this one here. And I am starting to catch up a little bit to the TVR, not CVR, TVR. 428 Super Cobra Jets are pretty awesome as well. Oh, I'm not familiar with those engines. I gotta look that up after this race. The Super Cobra Jets. Which were those also in the Mustangs? I'm not quite as familiar with that terminology or that engine. I have to definitely, after this race, I need to look that up. Nice and easy. Alright, found a couple of corners before the really long straight. Unfortunately, that TVR would definitely be able to outrun me on the straight, because he's got about an extra 70 horsepower compared to me. And a much more aerodynamic vehicle as well. But I can at least make sure I secure a second place with the Nissan's the Skyline 350 or the G35. Alright, here we go. Want to maximize my speed coming out of this corner so that I can go as fast as possible down this really, really long straight here. And this is basically how you maximize your lap, shave seconds off your lap time, is basically trying to get as fast as you can down this straight. You want to maximize your exit speed on that final sweeper corner. And you got to be very, very careful onto the brakes just before the start-finish line, because it is the road narrows, and also it's an S curve that gradually gets more and more aggressive. So you want to kind of right around here, you want to start braking a little bit, ever so slightly, just to keep the car stable. Go through there. So not exactly the best line to that corner complex. It's always very, very tricky getting that right. All right, but we got second. Not bad. That Jaguar definitely managed to do a pretty big push at the very end. I'm gonna look up that 428 Super Cobra Jet real quick. 428 Super Cobra Jet. Oh, okay. So it was in the Ford Torino and the Cyclone and the Cougar. Okay, cool. Oh, and the Mustang. Oh, which Mustang Fastbacks? Oh, the '68 Mustang Fastback. Cool. Oh, that's really cool. That's nice. That seems like a cool engine. Yeah, I wasn't as familiar with that. That's really cool. Thanks for bringing up Sprockets. Now let's see what vehicle we're able to win. Jeez, really bad luck this stream with the roulette. Alright, that's enough to upgrade our tires to stickier boys. Nice. I'm probably gonna do like 1 or 2 more races. Probably just 1 more race. And then I'm probably gonna call it a night because it is 11 o'clock. So I'm gonna be doing probably 1 more race. So hopefully a good race. Maybe one of the RS races, which are very, very tricky. But they pay quite a bit of points. The New Year's Cup at Autumn Hill. And we're gonna be racing against everything from a Nismo tuned Skyline to a Caterham Caterham Super 7 Super Light R500. Oh, that car is gonna kill us. An NSX and an FC RX7. So a whole bunch of high performance Japanese cars. And then basically the Caterham, it's very, very lightweight. It was based off of originally a Lotus chassis, the Lotus 7, that Caterham kind of modernized during the early 2000s. And then they stuck a high-performance motorcycle engine into it. And that R500, that Caterham Super 7, is very, very fast, very lightweight, very agile. Basically, as long as you can keep it pointed in the right direction, it'll blow past the competition. And there it goes. Very fast. Alright, they got crossed up just a little bit at the chicane. Can make a move on the NSX going into the tunnel. So far, so good. Decent slip angle going into the final corner of the first lap. And this is a 12-lap race, but the laps themselves are under a minute. So it's very, very quick. Mistakes are heavily punished on this track because the laps are so quick. Okay, come on. Let's aim for at least the podium. That Caterham is going to be long gone. It's probably going to end up lapping us just due to how many laps there are. But we can at least focus on getting a decent position. We are currently in 3rd. But 4th, 5th, and 6th are all right behind us as well. So let's make sure we don't make any major mistakes. No spins, none of that stuff. Come on. Here we go. All right, lap 2 is complete. We are still in 2nd place. The NSX has been looking to make a move on us. Ooh, trying to dive down the inside there. That's a little bit far back there, mate. That's not gonna work. Carry some momentum around the corner. Had to let off the throttle there. I was on the steering just a tad. Alright, through the chicane. I'm able to gain a lot of time on the NSX through the chicane. I think I'm taking a better line through there than the AI is. Which is good, because that's any other part of the track, it seems like they're faster than me. But there isn't a whole lot of heavy braking points where they'll be able to really overtake me. I did get a bad exit out of that corner, so they're going to be gaining on me going into the sweeper left-hander at the start of the lap. Ease onto the brakes, trail brake deep into the corner. Nice and smooth, nice and smooth. Not quite as smooth as I want. Ew, definitely not as smooth as I want. Alright, NSX is now in front of us. Let's get that position back. The FC RX7 is also very, very close behind. And we are currently in the last points paying position. Let's put some distance between us and that RX7. Come on. Now let's get into the draft of the NSX down the front straight. Downside on this course, it's very, very difficult to overtake because, like I said, there isn't a whole lot of heavy braking zones. It's a very momentum-focused track. Give you speed up around the corners. I can make a move probably going out of the chicane into the tunnel. I think. Nice and easy, going through here. Got a little bit too sideways. It's right within striking distance too. Very, very enticing. Very tempting to try to make a big lunge, but that'll end up in both of us in that wall and the RX-7 passing us, so we don't want that to happen. Losing a little bit of time that lap. Come on. There we go, that's much smoother through there. Ooh, easy. There we go. The tunnel again. Alright, we're gaining a little bit of time on the NSX. Just a little bit. Lap by lap, about midway through the race. Oh, this is close. Come on, let's try to get a podium here. The Nismo Skyline and the Caterham are definitely way too far gone. They're about to be, in another lap or two, they're going to be lapping the field, it looks like. But we can at least try to get past this NSX. I think other option we have is, depending on how fast that GTR, the Nismo GTR, and that Caterham catch us, is if they get into a tangle with the NSX, that might actually be beneficial to us. We are much closer now. Carry a little bit more speed, run a little wide, but carry a little bit more speed coming out of that corner. Come on. The NSX is faster than me on the straight, but I'm slowly gaining time on it. A little bit squirrely through there. Lost a little bit more time. Okay, come on. There we go. Gaining a little bit of time through the chicane. It's gaining a little bit more time through the tunnel section. Back up on the NSX. Alright. Let's try to go for an inside line. Alright, there we go. Oh, it's still very, very close. A little bit wide there. Come on. I'm running out of laps to make this move. Especially because the NSX is right there. I'm a little bit closer at the end of this lap. Provided I don't mess up this first corner complex here, I should be able to get it going out of the chicane. I think that is my best action, is out of the chicane into the tunnel section, or out of the tunnel section and into the final corner of the lap. The two passing points, I think I have an advantage on the NSX. A little bit too much speed through there. 2 to go. Oh, okay, Caterham is trying to pass us. Caterham is lapping us. Let's not resist. Hopefully that can cause some issues with the NSX. Maybe they'll get tangled up with each other. Right now, the Caterham is slowing me down. Oh, there. Caterham is slowing me down more than the NSX. Caterham had some issues. Come on, don't mess with my race. I'm trying to stay out of your way. You are well into the lead. Oh, we're very close to the NSX on the final lap. Come on, into the chicane. Oh, dive bombed on the inside. A little bit of contact there. Not quite able to make it stick. Alright, inside line on the final corner. Contact through, all the way through. Okay, now it's on the defensive line to the finish line. We got past. Oh my word. That was a very close battle. Against a much faster vehicle too. Oh, that was very close. Very, very close. Alright, but yeah, that was the last race of the stream. Let's see what our if we get another vehicle. If not, that's perfectly fine as well. But I do hope we get something. Got the Nismo R34. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. That's a gorgeous car. Alright. We leveled up our car as well, that's good. A little bit more power out of the engine. Yes, alright, our ranking definitely increased quite a bit from getting all those points from that 3rd place finish. That's good. Alright, so that's been the final race of the stream. I'm probably going to be ending it here. Thank you all for tuning in and watching, I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, do be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, you know, all that fun stuff. Let me know what I did correctly in it. If you didn't like the video, do be sure to leave a thumbs down. Tell me what I did wrong so I could fix that, because I do pay attention to criticism and critique and everything. Anything I can improve on, do let me know, because I do want to improve. Because I've only been doing this for about a month now, and it's definitely been a learning experience. But regardless, thank you all again for watching. I've been Isaac Umbras, and wherever you're in the world, whatever time of day it is, may it be a great time, and I will see you on the next stream. Take care. Bye.